With a twitch of her nose and a touch of magic, Bewitched enchanted millions. Behind the laughter and spellbinding charm, though, were real people with real lives, some marked by struggle, sorrow, and untimely goodbyes. In this heartfelt tribute, we remember the beloved actors of Bewitched who have sadly passed away. Their talent brought joy to generations, and though the magic lives on, their personal stories remind us just how human our favorite stars truly were. Alice Pierce, who portrayed the nosy and ever-anxious Gladys Kravitz, was 47 years old in 1964 when she first brought life to the eccentric neighbor convinced of supernatural happenings next door. Her performance was both hilarious and sympathetic, grounding the absurdities of Bewitched in everyday paranoia. Off-screen, however, Pierce battled terminal ovarian cancer even as she filmed the show, keeping her diagnosis private from most of her castmates. She was married to composer John Rocks, but their union, while loving, was often burdened by her illness and his struggles with depression. They had no children. Pierce's health declined rapidly after the first season, and though she won a posthumous Emmy, she never lived to see the acclaim. Isolated in her final months and worn down by treatments, she died in 1966 at the age of 48. Tragically, her husband passed away just a year later. Her estate, modest at her death, was estimated at $150,000, most of which was left to medical charities. Her story remains one of immense talent silenced far too soon. Marian Lorn, who brought the bumbling and endearing Aunt Clara to life at age 81 in 1964, charmed audiences with her innocent spells gone awry and her collection of antique doorknobs. A late bloomer in Hollywood, Lorne's career blossomed after decades in theater, but she remained intensely private. She never married nor had children, instead living a quiet life with her brother and a few close companions in New York. Lorne was plagued by deep insecurities about aging and relevance, fearing she'd be forgotten despite her newfound fame. She suffered from chronic anxiety, mild dementia in her final years, and never fully adapted to the pressures of television production. Her sudden death from a heart attack in 1968 at age 84 left the cast of Bewitched heartbroken. She received a posthumous Emmy, and her small estate, valued at around $300,000, was largely bequeathed to friends and long-serving staff. Her legacy, however, lives on in every comically botched spell. Roy Roberts, who portrayed Darren's skeptical father Frank Stevens, was 58 years old when he joined Bewitched in 1964. A veteran actor with a voice of authority and a towering presence, Roberts played Frank as a stern, practical man flustered by the magical chaos around his son. Despite his professional achievements, Roberts' personal life was fraught with turmoil. He was married twice, both unions ending in bitter divorces fueled by infidelity and long separations. He had two estranged sons, Timothy and Randall, with whom he rarely spoke. Suffering from alcoholism, Roberts struggled with depression and was hospitalized multiple times throughout the 1960s and early 70s. His health declined rapidly due to liver disease and he passed away in 1975 at the age of 69. At the time of his death, his estate was valued at approximately $500,000, a fraction of what he had earned in his prime. He died virtually alone, estranged from family, a cautionary tale of fame and fading fortune. Agnes Moorehead, who played the imposing and flamboyant Endora at 63 years old in 1964, stole every scene as Samantha's disapproving mother, draped in bold colors and disdain. Off-screen, Moorehead was enigmatic, brilliant, deeply religious, and reclusive. She was married once, briefly, to actor John Griffith Lee, but the union dissolved within a year amid rumors of infidelity and conflicting sexual orientations. Moorehead never had children and lived largely in solitude, preferring the company of her staff and her Bible. She endured a string of personal tragedies, including the death of her mother, a failed attempt at adoption, and a secret bout with cancer. Her health deteriorated after filming Bewitched, which she believed was cursed due to the deaths of several cast members. She succumbed to uterine cancer in 1974 at the age of 73. Her estate, including a New York apartment and art collection, was estimated at $1.2 million. Much of it was willed to her church and various charities. Her grave reads simply, "Actress, believer." George Tobias, who portrayed the weary and skeptical Abner Kravitz at 63 in 1964, was the perfect counterweight to his excitable on-screen wife. His dry delivery and subtle reactions made him a quiet star of Bewitched. In real life, Tobias never married and lived a life of relative solitude. He was known in the Hollywood circles as a kind soul but also a loner, once confessing he feared his lifestyle left him forgotten by family. Tobias had a tense relationship with his younger brother, whom he never reconciled with, and he had no children. After suffering a stroke in the early 1970s, he became increasingly reclusive. Rumors of unrequited love and past heartbreak, particularly with a co-star from his earlier Warner Brothers years, haunted his later life. He passed away in 1980 at the age of 78 from bladder cancer. His estate, valued at around $750,000, was mostly left to film preservation societies. Though never a headliner, Tobias left behind a body of work cherished by loyal fans and historians alike. Phyllis Stevens, played by Mabel Albertson, was 63 years old in 1964 when she stepped into the role of Darren's meddling and overbearing mother, whose sharp instincts often made her suspicious of Samantha's oddities. Albertson infused the character with a blend of high-strung elegance and comic disbelief, becoming a fan favorite. Off-screen, Mabel's life was marred by a string of personal misfortunes. She was married only once to screenwriter Ken England, but the marriage dissolved quickly under the weight of her career-driven lifestyle and his alcoholism. They had one son, George, who later distanced himself from the industry and reportedly from Mabel herself. Her family life was strained, and she often described feeling emotionally displaced, even among loved ones. She suffered from chronic depression, bouts of anxiety, and a lifelong struggle with loneliness. Mabel died from Alzheimer's complications on September 28, 1982, at age 81. In her later years, she lived alone in a modest home in Santa Monica, with few visitors. Her estate, which included residuals and modest property holdings, was estimated at $600,000, much of which was left unclaimed due to her estranged family relationships. David White, who portrayed Larry Tate, was 48 years old in 1964 when he became the embodiment of the slick, charming ad executive whose loyalty shifted with whichever client paid the most. His portrayal brought both comedic levity and sharp business realism to the show. However, White's off-screen life bore little resemblance to his character's confidence. He married actress Mary Welch in the late 1940s, and they had a son, Jonathan. Mary tragically died during childbirth, leaving White devastated and a single father. He never remarried, and his relationship with Jonathan became distant over time, particularly after Jonathan joined a religious commune. David struggled with alcohol dependency during the 1970s and found steady acting work elusive after Bewitched ended. He suffered a stroke in the late 1980s and spent his final years in frail health, relying on support from the Screen Actors Guild. He died on November 27, 1990, at age 74, from a second stroke. His estate, diminished by medical costs and poor financial planning, was valued at approximately $300,000. Maurice Evans, 63 years old in 1964, brought regal flair and Shakespearean poise to the role of Maurice, Samantha's proud and theatrical warlock father. Known for his booming voice and impeccable diction, Evans elevated the role with classical gravitas. Despite his commanding presence, Evans led a guarded and deeply private life. He never married and had no children, though rumors of suppressed romantic relationships followed him for decades. He confided to friends about the alienation he felt in Hollywood, often returning to England to escape the superficiality of the industry. Evans suffered numerous tragedies. He lost his brother in World War I, struggled with repressed identity issues, endured multiple nervous breakdowns during his career transitions, and battled prostate cancer for over a decade. He died on March 12, 1989, at age 87, in quiet seclusion in Brighton. His estate, primarily composed of royalties from stage and film, as well as art collections, was valued at $1.2 million and left mostly to theatrical charities and longtime caregivers. Dick York, who was 36 years old in 1964 when he took on the role of the long-suffering mortal husband Darren Stevens, became a household name for his expressive face and frantic reactions to his witch wife's unpredictable magic. While the character was comedic and endearing, York's real life unraveled into hardship and heartbreak. A severe back injury sustained on a film set before Bewitched led to chronic pain, which worsened during the show's production and ultimately forced his departure. His marriage to Joan Alt, whom he wed in 1952, endured through immense strain. He became addicted to painkillers, was often bedridden, and relied heavily on her for care. They had 5 children: Kim, Mandy, Matthew, Christopher, and Michael, though he often felt emotionally distant from them during his years of physical torment. After leaving Hollywood, York faced poverty and relied on donations to run a charity from his home. He died of emphysema on February 20, 1992, at age 63. His estate was virtually depleted, estimated at under $20,000, with no significant assets remaining. Robert F. Simon, who was 55 years old in 1964 when he began portraying Frank Stevens, Darren's sensible and often confused father, brought a steady, grounding energy to the show's magical chaos. Though frequently replaced by another actor for this role in later seasons, Simon's presence was always warmly remembered. Away from the screen, Simon led a complex and often melancholic life. He was married to Elizabeth Scott for over 30 years, though their relationship was reportedly cold and increasingly distant. The couple had 2 children, Julia and Thomas, but Robert's long absences and emotional unavailability left the family fractured. He lost his younger brother in World War II, survived a near-fatal car accident in 1974, and quietly suffered from macular degeneration, which robbed him of most of his sight in his final years. After retiring, he lived reclusively in the San Fernando Valley. Simon passed away on November 29, 1992, at age 83 due to a heart attack. His estate, largely from earlier real estate investments and pension, was estimated at $800,000, which was divided among his estranged children. Elizabeth Montgomery, the enchanting Samantha Stevens in Bewitched, was 31 when she began portraying the charming witch who delicately balanced magic and mortal life. Samantha's warmth, wit, and subtle defiance of traditional norms made her an icon. Yet Montgomery's personal life was marked by heartbreak and instability. She married 4 times. Her most publicized union was with actor William Asher, with whom she had 3 children, Rebecca, Robert, and David. Their marriage was fraught with difficulties, ending in divorce after years of strain. Montgomery's struggles with health issues, including breast cancer, shadowed her later years. She endured the pain of several miscarriages and battled depression. Despite her glowing television legacy, she often felt overshadowed by her character's lightness, yearning for deeper personal fulfillment. She died of cancer in 1995 at 62. Her estate was valued around $3 million, a modest fortune reflecting her lasting impact on television history. Irene Vernon, who embodied Louise Tate, the elegant, dignified wife of Larry Tate, was 42 when she embraced the poised sophistication of the supporting Bewitched character. Vernon brought a poised yet grounded charm to the role, providing a steady counterpoint to the series' magical chaos. Off-screen, Vernon's life was quietly turbulent. She was married twice, but both relationships ended in divorce, with no children to soften the loneliness that sometimes enveloped her. Her family life was marked by isolation, compounded by the slow fading of her television career after leaving Bewitched. A sense of regret for unfulfilled ambitions clouded her later years. Vernon struggled with health issues and financial difficulties, retreating from public life. She passed away in 1998 at age 76. At her death, her estate was modest, estimated at $500,000, reflecting the quiet retreat she made from Hollywood's spotlight. Alice Gosley, known for her portrayal of the endearing, hapless witch Esmeralda, was 46 when she joined Bewitched in 1969. Her comedic genius brought to life a character whose spells often went comically wrong, endearing her to audiences who adored her offbeat charm. Yet behind her bubbly exterior, Gosley faced a private world of sorrow. She was never married nor had children, a personal choice shadowed by loneliness and a lifelong struggle with self-doubt. Gosley endured multiple health crises, including heart problems and a serious car accident that left lasting effects. Despite a career sprinkled with success, she often felt typecast and struggled for more meaningful roles. Her family relationships were distant, lacking close emotional bonds. She passed away in 2007 at age 84. Her estate, estimated at $1.2 million, was a testament to a career of steady work and resilience against adversity. Sandra Gould stepped into the role of Gladys Kravitz at age 50, becoming the famously nosy neighbor obsessed with uncovering Samantha's magical secrets. Gould's portrayal added a new dimension of humor and persistence to the character, creating a legacy that endures in pop culture. However, Gould's personal life was far less cheerful. Married once, her union dissolved in bitter divorce, leaving her to raise a daughter, Susan, alone. Financial instability marked much of her post-Bewitched life, worsened by her struggle with chronic arthritis and other ailments. Despite her sharp wit on-screen, Gould wrestled with bouts of depression and a sense of invisibility beyond her iconic role. The loss of close friends and colleagues added layers of grief to her later years. She died in 1999 at age 82, her estate valued at approximately $700,000, a reflection of both modest fame and hard-won survival. Paul Lynde, the delightfully mischievous Uncle Arthur, was 38 when he began playing Endora's prankster brother on Bewitched. Lynde's razor-sharp comedic timing made him a standout, beloved for his campy charm and biting wit. Behind the laughter, however, his life was marked by tragedy. Openly gay at a time of widespread intolerance, Lynde endured discrimination and secrecy, never marrying or having children. His personal relationships were often tumultuous, marked by loneliness and unfulfilled desires. Lynde struggled with alcoholism and depression, which led to erratic behavior and declining health. Despite his success, he felt isolated and typecast. His career declined after Bewitched, leading to financial and emotional hardship. Lynde died in 1982 at 55 from a heart attack related to substance abuse. His estate was modest, around $600,000, underscoring a life of brilliance shadowed by personal demons. Which character from Bewitched holds a special place in your heart? How does it make you feel knowing that some of the beloved cast members are no longer with us? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to share them in the comments below. If you've been enjoying this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching.